Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, or wherever you're joining me from. Welcome back to Too Ambitious. I am so happy to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for showing up every week to join this show where we celebrate Black women and women of color founders who are changing the world, literally changing the world by creating businesses and supporting their families in a way that makes sense for them. So, today on the show, if you have not been seeing all my promos, I've got like another phenomenal entrepreneur here, you know. So, I want you guys to show her lots of love in the comments today, ask a lot of questions because she is someone who has created something out of a very difficult time and came out on the other side in a very big way. So, let me introduce her before we really get into it. So this phenomenal entrepreneur is Marline C. Duroseau. You got to put the C in there because that means that she's uber famous. So she's the CEO founder of MCD Business Enterprise, which helps women to overcome obstacles and regain their confidence to accomplish their goals. Now, Marline is also a successful CFO, educator, CPA, and she's also a doctoral candidate and even an author. Yes, even an author. She's amazing. She is a Miami native, which gives her time for her nonprofit, Filling Empty Wounds, that brings awareness to infertility. Now, yes, you're probably thinking, wow, she does a lot because she does. She is an extraordinary woman who is going to inspire you today. So, without further ado, I want you to show her so much love and welcome Marline to the show. Welcome, Marline.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm so happy you're here. I do want to say, you do live in Florida.
Yeah,
So let's just, we all know there was a big hurricane coming through Florida, but tell me how your family is doing. How is everything in your part of the Florida?
thank you so much for asking. So far, everything and everyone is okay. I am in South Florida, so we experienced three horrible tornadoes, but thank goodness we didn't get direct impact, but some of our neighbors did in neighboring counties and neighborhoods, but they're okay. And the parts of Florida, like in Central Florida, where there were lots of devastation, my family and friends are okay as well. They're pretty much just dealing with no electricity and things of that nature. So we're just praying for everybody to, get through this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that update, and I'm so happy that you and your family are well. I grew up in Florida, so I know all about hurricanes and how scary they can be. So, I don't take it lightly that you still kept your word and you showed up today. So thank you. Despite
Absolutely. Just
everything.
happy to
So
be here. Thank you so much.
yeah, absolutely. So let's jump in. I read your credentials, and let me tell you, you are a force, Marlene. Are doing all the things. So set the stage a little bit and share a little about the work that you do and how you started your company and why.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. Sometimes it's still hard for me, as I know it is probably for a lot of women, to
Yeah.
really hone into and accept where we are and all of the work that we've done, and just have our confidence and strength about us. So I'm learning to accept that and be okay with that because sometimes it's hard to hear about yourself. So
Sure.
thank you so much for that. I currently work as the CFO for a privately held company. I've been at my company for 22 years, hence my extensive leadership and financial leadership experience. And getting here hasn't been easy because I am a product of mentors, which is why helping the next generation of women leaders to excel and grow in their careers is also something that I'm very passionate about. And while I was on my leadership track here at my job, I was diagnosed with infertility. And it's something that my husband and I battled for about 10 years. And after all of the ups and downs and different treatments, options, just different things that we were looking into, we finally decided to go ahead and move forward with IVF. And
Mm.
as one of the lucky ones, my husband and I found success in our very first IVF. And that's just unheard of because a lot of times that
Mm.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, and unfortunately, that success and happiness wasn't long lived. I ended up losing our daughter, and I had a
Mm.
full-blown delivery and everything.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
almost 6 months along, so it was a really, really tough time.
Yeah.
And, fast forward a little bit, I used my journal to get out a lot of my emotions and what I was feeling, because back then there were not a lot of resources that were available to help. And it's
Right.
something that no one really talked about. So I didn't really have people in my family or friends to really talk about, to figure out,
Right.
one, what the heck is this? Why
Yeah.
did it happen? And how do I even get through it? So journaling really helped me. And, you know, those journal entries eventually turned into my first book, which is It'll Happen by 30.
Yep.
And everything with me starting my own company kind of catapulted from there, because after finding the strength and courage to write the book, with the intention of helping other women, men, and families that are on their family building journey, and maybe some people who may not have experienced infertility, the book helps them learn how to be an ally and how to help other
Mhm.
people around them,
Yeah.
that may have experienced it. And the overarching message in the book, too, is we all in life have a plan, especially us women, right? We're
Yeah.
planning
We always do.
everything.
We always
Yeah.
do.
So what happens when things don't go according to plan? How do
Yeah.
you navigate that? How do you get through it? So the book really tells a story of going with the flow, being strong, having resilience, having a positive mindset to get through some of the unexpected things that come across your path. And out of the book, the company was born, MCD Business
Mm.
Enterprise.
Yep.
And I gave myself like a 5-year goal to transition from, my corporate role, which I love and cultivated after all these years, and incorporating my entrepreneurial journey as well. So that's how the
Mm.
company started.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to thank you for sharing that. I know that that's not easy, and I'm sorry for your loss, and I think, when you say that, you and your husband dealt with it for 10 years, that's a really long time
It is.
to be trying to figure out how to, have a child, and just the ups and downs. And, one of our guests today, Dan Ross, said the cost for IVF is astronomical and so unfair to women and families. So, I want to thank you for sharing that. And I can't imagine, but tell me a little bit about, how you sort of made it through. I know you said you journal and everything. What kept you going? Because 10 years is a long time to kind of keep
Yes.
going and dealing with that. And it wasn't easy.
Thank you for recognizing that and acknowledging it, because now that we're on the other side, and when I say we, it goes for everybody in life. When
Yeah.
you're in the midst of the storm, you don't realize or acknowledge sometimes the full extent of what's happening. And now
Right.
that we're on the other side, you're like, man, how in the heck did we deal with that? How
Yeah.
did we do it? And
Yeah.
quite honestly, I felt in my heart that I was meant to be a mom. From the time
Mm.
that I was a little girl, I even, wanted 10 children. Like, who in this
Wow.
day and age even thinks about that, right?
Right.
And, more power to the families that do, because I come from a big family. I'm one of 8, and my husband is also one of 10. So there's big families around us. So I've always
Mhm.
wanted to be a mom, always wanted a big family. And I was the girl who I would help my cousins. I would be at my aunt's house when they were pregnant and the new baby comes. And as the babies got older, even neighborhood kids, I would do their hair. And I just loved everything about the nurturing and the love that comes from, you caring for someone else. And I think that knowing deep down inside that that was a dream of mine, and I just knew that if I gave up, I didn't want to live with, what if, right? What
Yeah.
if I didn't try? What
Yeah.
if I said, because of my faith or because of what I think other people are going to say, I'm not going to try this method. I'm not going to try. I'm just going to give up. How can I live with myself? I was thinking of my future self,
Right.
because when you get to the future, you can't go back, right? Even now that we're in the present, you can't go back. But I resolve myself to know I have to give my all. We have to keep pushing. We have to exercise all the different options so that
Right.
we can determine, we've done everything we can, right? And then
Yeah.
knowing after all that time to find success and then end up having such a horrible loss, then it was like trying to gear ourselves back up again to, do we even try again? Like, I don't
Right.
think I can go through this again. So that was
Right.
another process in itself that, thank goodness for my OBGYN. She recommended my therapist because she noticed at my 6 week postpartum appointment, I just wasn't doing well. So therapy has helped
Yes.
tremendously, and speaking to, my pastors, and just being able to be a little bit more open, right, and sharing how I'm feeling is what kind of helped keep us going, so.
Yeah, so telling your story, it seems, was definitely something that helped. Was there at any point that you felt that you couldn't share your story? Because people don't really talk about infertility. It's not something that you hear about a lot, whether it be social media or, just online anywhere. So how did you sort of kind of navigate that, you know?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I smiled when you asked, because I'm going to put into context time, right? All of this was happening where I finally found success, got pregnant, and ended up losing the baby. This was 2011. We're
Mm,
in 2024.
yeah.
My book didn't get published until 2021. So
Ah,
imagine, even after all that time, the shame. What are people going to say? What are they going to think? Will they blame me? Do I
yeah,
blame myself still?
right.
And it's one of those things where I wanted to try to break the stigma and talk about it, but it wasn't easy. I'm going to tell you, Trish, that even immediate family members did not know we, one, were dealing with infertility, and two, that when we got pregnant, that it was as a result of IVF. They
Mm.
found out when the book came out. So
Oh,
this whole mission has started for me about 3 years ago. Like,
okay.
in terms of spreading the word and being okay to talk about it, because you're correct. No one knows, no one shares. And it's just such an amazing space to see where we are right now, just as a nation and as a people,
Right,
that, you know, people are allowing a safer space for those that are impacted to
right.
share their story. Because believe it or not, when you hear someone's story, and it's still not easy for me, but
Yeah,
when you hear someone's story, it's like, okay, oh, okay, they went through it too. Okay, they understand. I'm not alone. It's not only me, because you have a sense of brokenness. You have a sense of, I can't talk about it because people are going to think something's wrong with me, because this is not normal. It doesn't happen to everybody. So
right.
I'm finding the strength and the courage and the wherewithal to keep going and talking about it, because that's the only way to get awareness out there, and that's the only
Mhm.
way to let other people that are going through it know that, one, they're not alone, and two, there are resources out there to be able to help them.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being very candid about it as well, and also Alana Brown, thank you. She says sorry for your loss,
Thank you.
so yeah, I think that, one of the things that, when I was doing research and everything like that is the stats are extraordinary because it's something, infertility is something that people don't talk about. What are what are some of those stats that are out there that you can share with everyone who may not know that there are people who are dealing with that, with infertility, or may even sometimes, I have a friend who, been trying for a couple years, and I think some people didn't even think like, oh, is it infertility? It's just like, oh, it's not time, it's not the time, that
Right.
sort of thing. So can you share some of the facts and everything about it?
One of the ones that I love to share, because it's so prevalent, is when I started on this journey of sharing my story and getting the book out there, the statistic was that 1 in 8 couples suffer or had experienced infertility. They were impacted by infertility in one way or another, right? 1 in 8.
Yeah.
That was 2021. As of 2023, the statistic is now 1 in 6 people are struggling or were impacted or have experienced infertility. So let's
Right.
put that into perspective. So, although now in the world we go to the grocery store and everything is self-checkout, right? But let's
Right.
go prior to that. when you go into the lane for your checkout, you're at the cashier or the cash register place, and think about how many people are in line with you.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's about 6 to 8 or 9 people in line.
Yeah.
And this statistic means that when you're there just waiting to check out your groceries and go on with your life, one of you in that line have experienced infertility. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I really think that the statistic is actually worse, but this
Mm.
is based on data that is available for people who actually are letting others know that they've had that experience.
Right.
So it's one of those things where 1 in 6 is a big, big deal. That's like 17, almost 20% if you round up
Yeah. Mm.
of the global, world is dealing with this.
Mhm.
And another statistic that's prevalent too is that 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. That's
Mm.
1 in 4. That's like, okay, let's put it in money. I'm a money lady, CPA,
Yeah.
CFO. That's if you have $1, you're gonna always lose 25 cents. So your dollar really is only 75 cents.
Yeah.
And for that to be so prevalent and no one talks about it, and even in the medical world, which is what I'm hoping also changes, no
Yeah.
one even looks into your miscarriages until you've had 3.
Mm.
That's when a
3.
doctor 3, the
Oh my
doctor will
god.
look and try to do extra research or, run extra tests once you've had 3. And
Yeah.
it's just so sad because no one should have to suffer or experience that,
Yeah.
before you can try to find out answers and prevent it. Why
Yeah.
why why should that happen? So those are some of the statistics that are really, prevalent right now. And it just goes to show the severity
Yeah.
and the phenomenological aspect of the infertility and pregnancy problem here in our world.
Yeah, I didn't realize, yeah, those stats are staggering. And,
Mhm.
thank you for putting that in perspective too. It's easy to understand. When you talk about infertility too, I think a lot of times we often think that it's the woman who might
Right.
be having the issue, but it could also be the man as well. Men experience infertility as well. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And in the case of my husband and I, when I met my husband, he had a son. I call him my baby Richard. He's the
Yay.
child I say that didn't cause me any, labor or contractions or delivery pain.
Yeah.
But I've been in his life since he was 2. And
Mm.
so automatically you think, okay, well, it must be me because he had a child, right? Or
Right.
has a child.
Right.
And unfortunately, it was a combination of both of us because as you grow, and you just evolve in life, what happens when you're a young spring chicken sometimes doesn't remain that way as you get older. So he had a little bit of male factor infertility. I had some hormonal issues and things of that nature. It was nothing that the doctors couldn't fix, so to speak, but the
Right.
combination of the two of them together, the chances of us conceiving on our own naturally just were slim, slim to
Yeah.
none, evidenced by us finding success by the time we went to IVF, and even that's not, guaranteed. So the infertility issue does affect the men, and not only from a perspective of, their sperm and their semen and their lifestyle and things
Mhm.
that they can do to help increase that, also from an emotional and psychological standpoint,
Yeah.
because I know some people personally that never even got a chance to look into infertility treatments with
Mhm.
their because their partner just didn't want anything to do with it. Because
Right.
just as we think women feel ashamed and are surrounded by that stigma, the
Yeah.
men are as well. It's a
Yeah.
big blow to their ego or mindset or psychological outlook, however we want to put it.
Mhm.
And they just maybe don't want to come to terms with it or what. So they're not going to get checked out.
Right.
And for the men, it's a simple test that they can figure out, what to do and figure out ways to navigate around it. But the first hurdle is getting the men to even go in and get checked. So thank goodness my husband was like, I don't care if I have to swim from
Right.
one part of the world to the other part. We're in this together. He's going
Yeah.
to the appointments. He's doing his thing in the cup, right? That's the
Love
part
it.
that the guys don't like. And yeah, so it is an issue that definitely impacts the men, and we all just have to always keep things into perspective, which is why there's a part in my book dedicated to my husband's point of view and his
Mhm.
experience through all of this.
Right.
Because no matter how we cut it, no matter
Mhm.
how we slice it, we need 50% of the male reproductive part,
Mhm.
and we need 50% of the female reproductive part. So although the women are the ones technically, let's, for the lack of better words, say on the front lines,
Right.
nothing can happen without the men. So it's
Yep.
important to take their perspective into play.
Yeah, yeah. And and I thank you for outlining that, and talking about the emotional toll of it all as well. Now, when you talk about your book, what is some of the feedback that you're getting from anyone who's read your book so far? How is that experience knowing that your story is out there in the world and people are like really like reading it and saying, "Yeah, me too," you know?
To be honest, I was so afraid when I put the book out, but after going through my experience, my general outlook on life kind of changed, which
Mhm.
is why my motto for MCD is to be motivated, be courageous, and be dynamic. And it's like, even though I'm afraid, do it anyway, right? I
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm just going to put it out there, and then it is what
Yep.
it is.
Yeah.
So the feedback that has come out of that is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you went through that. Thank
Yeah.
you for your vulnerability. Thank you for, your transparency. I have
Mm.
some women that even reached out to me and said, I know how you feel when you just wanted to sit down and eat that tub of ice cream and, cry and get through it. And, I talk about how it was navigating in the workplace,
Yeah.
and trying to go through this. So I got some feedback from, women leaders that have also experienced this and how ways that they can help, figure it out as well. So the
Yeah.
feedback has been phenomenal. And some of the feedback I received from people who bought the book, but for a family member or a friend. And
Right.
one of the latest ones I remember, I got a notification because I posted something on Facebook in my stories. And the young lady said, oh my gosh, Marlene, I've been meaning to reach out to you for about a month. And you're not going to believe this. My sister, she's 40. She's been trying for over 10 years, and I bought the
Mhm.
book for her. And I'm happy to report she's pregnant and almost due because she
Mhm.
followed a lot of the steps and some of the things that you mentioned in your book. I just burst out crying, and
Oh,
my family was looking at me like, "What's wrong with her? Why is she crying?" I'm like, "Look what happened."
yeah.
So the feedback has been astounding, and just to know that you're able to help other people just from sharing my story is
Yeah.
really what helps keep me going.
Oh, yes. I love to know that, because when you're going through something, it's hard to kind of think about the end of it all. But I think for you, this is best case scenario, right?
Yeah.
You've birthed this book, and now you also have more children, right?
Yes,
Not eight
yes.
though. You don't have eight children, no.
No.
Okay.
Altogether, I have 4 boys. I have my baby Richard, my big guy, right?
Okay.
And, I had twin boys after we lost our daughter Angel. I had twin boys, Kason and Camden, and my website will show you, I also wrote a book, in honor of them as well, and, just, allowing children to embrace what makes them unique because as twins and just people in society in general, everyone wants to compare you and thinks
Yeah.
you should fit into a mold. So I have my twin boys, Kason and Camden, they're 11, and
Yeah.
I have my baby, the boss of the family. Okay, his name is KB, and he just literally runs our life. Like it's
Oh
one
my
of those
gosh.
things that it just doesn't even make any sense.
Oh
And
my
he's
gosh.
6, so the boys just started middle school, and then the baby's in first grade. So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
altogether we have a house full of men.
I love it,
Absolutely,
and so
absolutely.
tell me a little bit about the work that you do through MCDB Enterprises,
Okay.
and how people can access, your services and learn more about what you do and how they can get the help that they need as well.
Absolutely. The company is multifaceted. Primarily because of my lived infertility experience,
Oh,
I offer lots of awareness, advocacy work with Resolve.org. That's a national infertility, organization, a nonprofit. But through the fertility side of what I do, I offer fertility coaching and things like that, where I work with men, women, couples on their fertility journey. So
mhm.
that's one of the main things, right? And then the next segment of my business happens to do with just overall helping women accomplish their goals. Because what
Yes.
I found through this was even though you're dealing with things in life and you have these obstacles, you still have other things that you want to accomplish and things that you
Yeah.
want to do. But how do you get over that hump where you're dealing with such a horrible thing, but yet you need to be able to push forward, get your
Yeah.
confidence back so
Yeah.
that you can accomplish more. So that's the other side where I offer feminine coaching, confidence coaching, things of that nature. And finally, the last segment of the company has to do with me working with empowering children. I've been
Ooh.
traveling to elementary schools where
Mhm.
my book, Kason and Camden, has done really well with helping to, do
Yeah.
affirmations and, workshops with the children at the
Right.
school
Yeah.
because it's just with everything going on in society, I think children need to kind of have that extra sense of, self-esteem and independence, and it
Yeah.
allows them to accept inclusivity as well, because we're all different and it's okay. So those are the some of the
Yeah.
services definitely that MCD business offers.
I mean, I love that it's one-stop shopping because everything you need,
Yes, yes,
it's everything you
absolutely.
need. Yeah, and I did see, your books, and I'm gonna share it here on screen, your
Okay.
children's books,
Yes.
Kaysen and Camden, which I think first of all, I thought it was super cute. I was like,
Thank
"This
you.
the cover is cute." So I'm gonna share it so everyone can see, and, are your twins identical or fraternal?
They are fraternal, and
Okay.
it's so amazing because they're fraternal in every sense of the word. Personalities are different, like, everything about them is different. One loves sweets, the other one wants nothing to do with sweets and is a salty guy. They both love pizza and macaroni, they both love playing games, but it's
Yeah,
amazing to see how individual they are, although they're twins, and everybody just expects them to be the same, even from when they were little. It's like, "Oh, no, well,
yeah,
buy 2 of everything." And I'm like, no." So, and and my husband, he actually pointed that out. He goes, "You never treated them as one and the same, even when they
right.
were out the womb." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, because they're different,
yeah,
and, the book is fantastic. When I go into the schools, I do different affirmation exercises, and we
mhm,
do a lesson on how to compare and how to contrast. What's a similarity? What's a difference? Things of that
right,
nature.
yeah.
So the book is a good thing to get for children to help build up their confidence as well.
Yes, I love that. So we'll add children's book author to your list of accolades as well. I'm not sure if there's anything that you can't do, Marlene. So this is this is you can tell me though if there's something that you can't do because you're literally
Well,
doing
let's
everything.
see. Let's see. I can't do anything that has to do with animals because I'm kind of afraid of them, you know? So I can't really dog sit, I can't dog
Okay.
walk, I can't watch anything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know.
Oh, goodness. That's a
And
good one. Thank you.
of course. And so you're a doctoral candidate right now,
Yes,
right? What
absolutely.
does what are you studying, and how long is the program, and when can we start calling you Doctor Duroseau?
I just got goosebumps. I'm so excited. Okay, so anybody who's been on a doctoral journey knows what I'm about to say. And if you haven't, you're going to learn, right?
Yeah.
So December will be 4 years since I started my journey for school.
Oh my
So
God.
hopefully, fingers crossed, prayerfully, I will be able to be known as doctor by the end of the year or January, right? So I'm so excited about that. So what's going on right now is I am in my dissertation sequence. And
Mhm.
in the dissertation sequence is when you really start to, cultivate your research.
Okay.
So right now, I'm about 80% done with dissertation in that I'm actively recruiting and interviewing participants. So let me
Okay.
back up a little bit. I'm going for my degree in organizational leadership with a
Okay.
focus on women in leadership, just especially because of
Mhm.
my background and the change that I would like to see, in our society. And one of the things, Trish, that I'm so excited about, my research is groundbreaking. And I'm saying that for the first
Mm.
time out loud today because
Yes.
although my chairperson and everybody in the school has been telling me that, I just couldn't accept it. Like I'm just trying to get some data. And what's happening is it's groundbreaking because I'm interviewing women in leadership roles that have a lived infertility experience. And that
Mm,
research has never been done before. So, yes,
wow.
of course, women in leadership have been studied, which is still yet to uncover more.
Mhm.
And infertility itself has been studied, right? Which no matter what, there's still more to do. But
Right.
getting the experiences of women in leadership while experiencing infertility has never been done before. So I'm so
Wow.
super excited about that. And I'm actively recruiting participants. So anyone who 18 or older, a woman, have been in leadership for a minimum of 3 years, have
Mhm.
experienced infertility, and have at least one direct report, they qualify. So at that point, they
Okay.
can reach out to me on LinkedIn or wherever, and
Okay.
I'll be able to interview them. But I'm super, super, super excited. I've already interviewed close to 20 women, and I'm almost to the point where I'm good to close, the data
Wow.
collection. But anyone that I'm finding that wants to talk to me, like, yes, let's
Yeah.
do it. Let's do it because it's important to
Yeah.
get that awareness out there, especially from the corporate or business or organizational aspect that women are also tasked with. Because
Yes.
to get your way up to a leadership role or even sustain a career, women
Mhm.
are already looked at as less than because we have a
Right.
labyrinth that we have to kind of go through and
Yep.
navigate to even get to this top, right? This the
Yeah.
magic top that
Yeah.
happens. So when you couple that with an infertility experience, what does that even look like? So why do we have to choose between being an executive, if that's what we want to do, and
Mhm.
starting or cultivating a family?
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited about that research, and it's just perfect.
Yeah.
It falls in line with my brand and what I'm doing.
Yes.
Like, how perfect is that? I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
It's absolute perfection, and I feel like, you are really walking in your purpose, Marlene, and even though you've gone through such a difficult time with infertility, um, it has brought you to this point,
Yeah,
and it has brought you to a point where you can help other people who are dealing with this. You can support them in a real way, and I think sometimes that is the purpose of it all, why we're here, right? So,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And never did I think that such pain and despair, and before there was even pain, the despair was there because when you're trying for something for so long, wondering if
Mm.
it'll happen,
Yeah.
oftentimes that takes up the essence of who you are. So, and it was
Yes.
just a little tricky for me because, you try to keep busy and you try to cultivate other great things in your life
Yeah.
while you wait for this one thing that just isn't happening yet.
That's
So I really
happening.
focused on, being motivated, being the best wife I could be, being the best friend I can be, the best daughter and
Mhm.
sister that I could be while I waited,
Yeah.
really worked on being the best employee and the best, leader as I learned because you have to have something to hold on to while you wait. And never did I think in a million years that this is where I would be. So I'm truly, truly grateful for it. And I am learning to accept it as my purpose because I am passionate about it as well.
Yeah, yeah, and also I think too, you're very ambitious as well. So, there is that. Do you accept the fact that you are ambitious as well, Marlene?
Happily,
Okay.
happily,
All right.
happily,
Okay,
happily.
good. Because I was gonna say you got a bunch of titles. Here's a lot of titles and awards. We're just
Right.
gonna.
Thank you.
I'm gonna send you your crown because
Thank you. I
listen.
appreciate that. My goal is to help. I'm on earth to help. And I really think that because before I got everything I even thought or knew I wanted, I was ingrained in helping and caring for people. It's very, very
Mm,
important to me. So thank you
yes.
for that.
Of course. Well, I want to thank you for taking your time today to share your story. A very, very powerful one. And you did say we can reach out to you on LinkedIn. That's the best place to connect with you.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. All
So
right. LinkedIn it is, everyone. So if you want to reach out to Marlene, to be a part of her study,
right.
definitely hit her up. If you want to learn more about the work that she's doing to empower women and families who might be experiencing infertility, you can also follow her on LinkedIn, but you can also check out her website, mcdbe.com. And, definitely just maybe have a conversation because sometimes you don't know what you need till you have that conversation. So,
Absolutely. And one more thing I wanted to add, Trish, if it's
mhm,
okay.
Yeah.
The nonprofit that I'm associated with,
Mm.
Filling Empty Wounds, I
Yes.
am on the board as a board member, and I'm also the CFO for the nonprofit. It was
Mm.
started by a fellow infertility warrior. Her name is Sandra Elidor, and we work together in helping to bring awareness and support for people that have experienced miscarriage or on their infertility journey. So I wanted to
Mm.
add that in there as well because she's
Yes.
doing a great job on that front. And Filling Empty Wounds hosts a support group for infertility
Mhm.
every second Monday, the second and the fourth Monday of the month.
Mm.
So definitely check them out. FillingEmptyWounds.org. So,
Fillingemptywombs.org. Okay.
mhm.
All right. Love the resources and thank you for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that there's so much help out there, if they're experiencing infertility. So I greatly appreciate you sharing those resources, sharing your story, so that everybody feels like they're not alone,
Absolutely.
so thank you for that. Well, I am super happy that you were able to join me today. We could talk easily for another hour because
I know.
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely fascinating. So,
You
thank
are as
you.
well. Thank you.
Thank you. And, I want to thank everyone for joining the show today. Don't forget to follow Marline Duroseau on LinkedIn. She's amazing. And also, too, she's going to be a doctor soon. So we'll have to call her Dr. Duroseau soon.
Yeah.
So follow her journey. You want to learn more. And I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I will see you next week for another episode of Too Ambitious. Stay safe, be well, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.